All right. So next up, we have room for improvement. If you could change one thing, um, I don't really have anything. I just have an explanation for why I don't have anything. Because what has happened has already happened anyway. So is this really the episode to change anything or offer any kind of hindsight? The only scene when I was watching it, and I felt like, and so in the movie when the protagonist and Neil are walking discussing the mission about crashing the plane, um, that's the only scene that I had a problem with, but only for a limited amount of time because I was proved wrong. Because when I first watched it, I was like, this feels like way too typical of an action film. The way they're walking, they're this real slick about dialogue back and forth, planning, and then right when at the point in the conversation when they get to the third guy who enters the conversation, sitting on the bench waiting for them, it's now his turn to speak. They've now somehow coincidentally timed it to where they get to him and it's his turn to talk and he gets up and just joins the
That was the
conversation.
only thing
That's
you
it.
mentioned on the ride home. It was not a question. You made sure you mentioned that for
But
me. Yeah.
then I thought about it. Like my problem with that was they. It seems like they like that's too coincidental. In any other movie, it would have been too coincidental. But in Tenet, Neil has already been through all of
A
this.
billion times.
So of course he could have timed that conversation. So I was wrong, and Christopher Nolan was right, and I have nothing that I could think of that I'd want to change about that. I wish they'd explain a little bit less,
Yeah.
if
Which is
anything.
a very nice segue because the only thing I would change about this, if I could change it, because it's already happened, is if I'm going to spend as a filmmaker and as a lover and watcher of film, if I'm going to spend 2.5 hours in a film, I don't expect you to spoon feed me, but when I leave, I need to be able to at least have some causality of what really truly did happen. I'm not asking for a closing answer to me. So I feel like if I'm being honest, and if we're going to be honest on this program, the show that we do, that we have to give them our honest opinions, is that I felt like he didn't give enough because you, as you mentioned, Michael, you feel like Michael Caine's performance suffered from it. Some actors are going to thrive on that moment, some won't, and you can best believe that some fans and some movie watchers are going to be like, I just didn't. I came to the movies to see this. It looked dope, but I mean, what happened?
The Twilight girls, where I
Right, right.
imagine
So
would feel
them.
very
But
cheated.
but even yes, them, but us. We paid attention the entire time. There was not one time we looked at our phones. I don't even think we blinked that many times, and we still walked out like, "Whoa, are we really here or something?" So to me, if I would change anything, it would be that okay. If you're going to do that to me, if that would have took place over 90 minutes, I wouldn't even be complaining right now. But if I'm staying 2.5 hours, you owe me a little bit more than hey, you put it together. Like no, I no.
I do disagree with you on that, and I actually have my rebuttal for why I disagree
Wait a
already.
minute. So you've lived. You knew I was going to say this, Pattinson.
No, maybe, but maybe that's kind of with me. No,
I have the rebuttal. I didn't. I just said the shit.
my rebuttal is actually in the given, like how many I given, and why I would recommend it. But I guess that is because every time we make a film, I'm usually leaning more towards the less information, more abstract, and you're always the one that comes in with the voice of reason. That's like, all right, hear me out. You can nix this if you want, but what do you think about just dropping them this little morsel of information or something
We
for them
did
to
that with
chew on the
Kill.
kind?
We did it
Yeah.
with Kill. Yeah.
So I totally get where that is fitting for you, and I'm sure that most people would agree, but I really like confusion even at the end of a movie, but I'll save my rebuttal for the given.
That's the trailer.